Hi and welcome to today's episode, which is going to be another dishwasher alcohol creation. Last year I made 2 liqueurs in the dishwasher. It uses the heat of the dishwasher to infuse the alcohol, which speeds up the process to 2 hours as opposed to months. At the time I thought, right, I'm going to start doing other flavours with that, and then months have passed and I've not done anything yet. So now we're in summer, allegedly. It's freezing today. I thought, let's do some nice kind of summery, light little boozy drinkies. I've been out and picked a few roses, so I'm going to make like a nice rose liqueur. And then the other one, I've ended up with a bottle of this Polish lemon flavoured drink. When I say flavoured, I do mean flavoured. It tastes really artificial. It's a bit like toilet duck, if you're in the UK, like a lemon scented cleaner. But rather than just pour it down the drain, I thought what I'll do is add other ingredients into it and see if I can just get it tasting a little bit less rank. So let's get this one on first. I'm gonna use the mason jars again. This has got 100 grams of golden castor sugar in it. I'd advise going for a good quality, like a heavy glass jar rather than a cheap one, just because you're going to subject it to heat. I've gone for golden castor sugar because it's got a slight caramel flavour, which I think will add a little bit of something, a bit of defence against that astringent, cleaner kind of flavour. Full disclosure, I'd planned on doing this with grapefruit. And when I was running around to get ready to go to the shop the other day, saw those and mistook them for grapefruits. So I've got oranges instead, so we're going to make orange and lemon, like the bells of St. Clements, that kind of thing. So it should taste nice. But I wanted to see what grapefruit was like in a liqueur, but I'll do that some other time. Peeled those down with a speed peeler. Speed peeler gets the peel without taking loads of the pith away, so it's a really nice way of doing it. If you haven't got one, just use a very sharp knife, peel it back, and then if you do have pith on there, what you can do is put it down flat and then use the blade like you're filleting, taking the skin off a fish, that kind of thing. Because the pith is bitter, so you don't really want much of that going in. I'm going to set these aside and I'll juice them, and then I'll freeze the juice, and then I can serve the liqueur over an ice cube of orange, which will be really nice and fresh in flavour. So I'll drop in the orange peel. So that, again, was 2 medium large size oranges. I've got some fresh mint leaves. I'm going to pop some of these in. Let's see how many I've got. So that's 20 mint leaves. I've got this lemon verbena. This just grows wild sometimes because it self-seeds. I'll do the smaller leaves because these biggies, they don't have as much flavour as the smaller ones. If you haven't seen the first dishwasher video, I will stick the link to it in the description, of course, for you. I'd advise doing it in a jar rather than in the bottle that you're going to keep it in, because you want to be able to take all of this stuff out of it. It's got a sort of lemony, herby vibe to it. I might be making the drink worse, who knows? But it's worth a shot, right? And because this is an actual product that's come from the garden, I'm just going to make sure there's no other insects or anything. Then this one is only 28%, so I think I'm going to splash in a little bit more vodka, which is 37.5%, just to boost the flavour up a touch, boost that punch. So only like 50 mils, couple of shots, that kind of thing. And then I'll top the rest up with the drain cleaner. I'll put more vodka in. And then I'll put the lid on. And I'm going to give this a good shake. And then I'll leave that to the side, and then that'll go in the dishwasher. So I've got 6 little roses there. Obviously you want ones that are quite fragrant, because that's what we're going for. It's that rose scent and flavour that we want. So anything that doesn't have much of a smell, just ignore those. I need to give a somewhat serious warning on this. If these are your own roses that you've grown in your garden and you haven't sprayed them, absolutely fine. If you're buying them from a shop, you need to make sure they're organic and ask what they've been sprayed with, because some of the pesticides can be toxic, so you don't want to be messing around with anything like that. You can buy dried roses, and these are for things like putting in cooking, in teas, in perfumes, soaps, that kind of thing. So there are commercially available edible roses that are dried, and that will work just as fine. I just happen to have some roses in the garden and it smells nice and heady, so why not use those? But I might put some of the dried in as well. Start packing everything in the jar. What I need to do is take the petals off the, whatever that is, the bud, the flower part, take the petals off just to make sure there's no insects or anything. So what I'm going to do is just pick off a handful, just separate them, check that there's nothing nasty in there. Not nasty, but you know what I mean. This is a liqueur, not a protein shake. I mean, eating bugs isn't going to hurt you, but I've got a feeling the flavour of them would be quite bitter in here. In the rose one, I've gone just for white sugar. I don't want any of the caramel flavour in this one because I want it to be fairly bright rather than that kind of round flavour that caramel has. Hopefully this goes without saying, but if you're handling roses, just be careful of the thorns on the stem. I've got the jar of sugar and rose there. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of the dried rose. I'm also going to add in 4 little cardamom pods. Cardamom and rose is quite a common combination in the Middle East, so let's try it, why not? I thought I had a vanilla pod and I don't, so I'm going to pop in a little bit of vanilla extract just to give it a little bit of something else, not much, so maybe half a teaspoon, and then I'll fill that up with vodka. So again, it's probably about 500 mils. Lid on tight and then shake it up. I'm going to do these on the intensive cycle of the dishwasher, which is 70 degrees C. I think it's probably around 160 Fahrenheit. I'll put a little thing on screen for you. I think it's a 2-hour cycle, 2¼ hours, something like that. I might wrap them in cling film just to stop any soap or anything getting in there. I don't think it would because they've got a good seal, but you never know, just to be on the safe side. Once the cycle's done, I'm going to sieve this. This has got a very fine little strainer on it, and that'll leave behind just the liquid without any of the other bits. I've even got a finer gauze that I might put in for the rose one. When I did the limoncello, I noticed once everything had settled in the bottle, at the very top of it, there was a build-up of something, and I think that's the wax that they put on fruit to make it shiny. It's a shellac wax that they put on, which unfortunately is made out of beetles, but I can't not eat fruit, do you know what I mean? If I pour everything into a bowl, like a wide-mouthed bowl, I can then skim the top of it off if there's any little bits that the sieve hasn't managed to lift out. And then I'll decant everything into bottles. And then once everything's nice and chilled, we'll do a bit of tasting. It's the following day, the liqueurs are all done and dusted. With the rose one, I just filtered that straight into a bottle with that funnel and some gauze. With the orange one, I poured it into a bowl, let it cool completely, and then poured it from the bowl through the gauze into the bottle, and that did get off a little bit of the wax. If you can, I try and use unwaxed fruit, and then you won't have any of that problem. I've never seen unwaxed oranges, only lemons. Let's do a bit of tasting. We'll do the rose one first. So this has got a lot of clarity to it. There's not much cloudiness in there. Yeah, so you can see the clarity on that one. You can see me blinking through the glass maybe. Have a little try. That's very nice. Could probably do with more rose, as long as you can get everything in the jar. I made this one with just that vodka, and it wasn't a particularly expensive vodka, just cheap supermarket own brand stuff. But it hasn't got any roughness to it. It's quite a mellow, sippable drink just on its own. I found these in the supermarket, the London Essence Company, flavoured tonic waters. And this one is pomelo and pink pepper. I think that and the rose is going to be stunning together. And then the orange one, so you can see this one has got some cloudiness to it. If you're wondering why you can hear the oven, I'm making some more chia seed crackers. I've become a little bit fixated since that first batch. I made another batch using Old Bay seasoning in place of the za'atar, and then this batch I've used like a vegetable stock powder, and then also I've smothered the top in nooch, so you can see all that gorgeous golden nooch on top. So I'm kind of playing around with different temperatures, different ingredients, that kind of thing. So there's the orange one, so you can see it is cloudy, but that's not a problem. Chin chin. I mean, it's much better than it was. So at least I can drink this one. It could probably tolerate more orange as well. I think I did 2, so double that as long as you can get everything in the jar. Yeah, that's nice. There's still a tiny note of that fake lemon flavour, or what I perceive to be fake. But I think more orange will definitely take that out. If you can find some orange extract, if you're looking in my local supermarkets in the baking section where they've got the vanilla, almond, all of that kind of thing, a few drops of that in, not a problem. And I think those two together, that'll work quite nicely as well. Just thought that lemon liqueur, the base one that we started with, that was cloudy, so that'll be where at least most of that cloudiness has come from. Both of those will be really nice drizzled over a fruit salad, and especially because they've got that sugar on, it'll help macerate the fruit, which means kind of draws the liquid, the juices out of it. So you'll end up with a really nice, juicy, boozy fruit salad. If you wanted a nice dessert for a kind of dinner party, or if you've got friends over for a dinner, that kind of thing. I worked front of house in a restaurant that did a fruit salad, and it was kiwis, strawberry, pineapple, maybe something else. And they did a very fine dice on it, so the pieces were maybe 1/2 centimetre. and then they serve that in a little pile with some lemon sorbet on top. So you could do something like that with those. You could even grate some dark chocolate, like quite a bitter chocolate would work nicely because they've got a good amount of sweetness to them. It would balance that really nicely. That would also work with vanilla ice cream because I think the creamy coolness from the vanilla ice cream will pair really nicely with that kind of tangy notes from the spirits. With the orange one, that'll be really good in winter, Christmas kind of time. Add in some cinnamon, cloves, maybe a bit of nutmeg, like a pomander. When you stud an orange with cloves, it's gonna have that kind of vibe to it. So that'll make a really nice little gift. You know, if you're a bit short on ideas and or cash, buy a big bottle of vodka, a few little things, and get some mini bottles, that kind of thing. You've got a great little handmade gift there. It's that part of the video I say a great big thank you to my supporters on Patreon. Your help keeps this channel running and ingredients stocked in the cupboards and fridge. If you want to join up, I'll leave a link down in the description for you. There's early access, different member perks, you get polled on what things you'd like to see, or generally what videos you'd like me to create for you. Hit subscribe and be sure to turn on notifications if you want more creative ways of how to use your kitchen appliances for non-intended purposes. While you're waiting for the next one, drop a like down below, because liking is caring, and then have a look at this one.